camera a little
yeah, I
bit?
mean, I can totally, of course. I mean, there you
Yes,
are.
yes, there we are.
I like
Just
seeing your face, gab your eyes, or as
it
close
is.
to it as I can, because I just see your smiley face. I don't see your,
Right
I
then.
don't see your
So this
resting
is.
bitch face. So,
So you are now live, and that is being recorded to broadcast. That's
yeah.
me, as is me blowing my nose because I have a stinking cold.
You
But anyway,
don't. Everybody does. Damn
it's
it.
just ridiculous. It's absolutely just
Uh,
ridiculous. But
and
anyway,
we're both dealing with respective dogs and
yeah,
cats
yes, absolutely. So the
crawling
movie,
all over us. He's
yes,
back.
yeah.
He's just come back. He's
Is
back
he?
in now.
Bless his
He's
little cotton socks. Right then.
Pew. Blind Pew will be putting in an appearance, I'm sure.
What's his name again?
His name is Pew, but it's Blind Pew because he's blind.
Oh, bless him.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
bless him.
he's such an asshole. He really is. He really is an asshole. I got him because nobody else would take him,
Right.
and he showed up at the hospital that I volunteer at,
Yeah.
sort of with massive conjunctivitis. He couldn't see anything, and he sat there for months. And somebody said they were going to take him, and they didn't. And then finally, I took him home, and he's just blossomed into an absolute bastard.
Right. Right. Oh, bless him. Bless little cotton socks.
No.
Okay. Well,
Oh,
we'll.
I love that you say that. I always think of you whenever I hear someone go, bless his cotton socks. I think of you all
I
the
just,
time.
yeah, been doing it for years. Right, we'll concentrate on the. Well, actually, just before we do concentrate on, yeah, I just wanted
Mm.
to talk a little bit about Disposaphobia, which is a
Mm.
film what you wrote and acted in.
A film what
Um,
I wrote and directed. I wrote it, I produced it. Yeah, I wasn't supposed to act in it.
were you not?
I was not supposed to. It was really interesting. I learned a lot making that movie. Mostly what I learned was about just how diplomatic movie making should be, if it's done really, really right. And what had happened was I had written the first draft of this
Right.
short film, and I sent it to the person, John Eklund, who I had always thought would direct it. I really like John's sensibilities, and if you've seen the movie, I mean, he's
Hmm.
Yale School of Drama trained, so he thinks like an actor as he's directing, and I sent him this draft, and I said I would love it if you would direct this, and he said I would love to direct it, but I think you need to change the ending, and I went I can't change the ending. I mean, I'm not going to give anything away,
Sure.
but um, the way it was originally written, when you see this movie, you'll understand that at the end of the movie, the roles were reversed.
Right. Right.
You've seen it, so you know.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
The roles were reversed, and John said, I think it needs to be this other way, and
Okay.
I thought, okay, you know what? I think that when it comes to writing or filmmaking or acting, I've started to look at collaborative efforts kind of like real estate. Like
Uh-huh.
when you when you go into buying a house or looking for an apartment or something, it's a good idea to know what your non-negotiables are. Like my apartment here, my non-negotiable was I absolutely wanted to see trees
Right.
and a park, and I can. You can actually. I don't know. Can you see that?
We can see that. Yes, they do
That's
their.
my
Hold on.
view.
That's wonderful. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the view from my place. But that was my non-negotiable. That was what I absolutely would not settle on and compromise. And in order to get that view, I got a slightly smaller bathroom than I wanted, and a hallway that wasn't as long as the original apartment I was in here. But I got my non-negotiable, and the ending of this film wasn't quite the non-negotiable. But this guy, my director, was very, very insistent on it. And I said, okay, look, if you really, really think that this ending has to be changed, I will go along with it because I'm not married to it. But I would like to make my best case for my ending, the one that I've written. So can we all get together with the team that we're already putting together and do a reading of the script with my ending? And he said, great. So we got the director of photography together and the sound guy together, all the people that we had sort of chosen, and Barbara Rosenblatt, who plays my mom in the movie. And we did this reading, and I played Pamela because I wanted to make my best argument for this ending. And I thought, well, you know what, I'll make it better than anybody else, so I'm going to read that part. So I read that part, and at the end of the reading, everyone went, oh, that was really good. You know, this is going to make a good movie. And I saw John giving me the hairy eyeball, and I said, okay, well, what if instead of the ending that we just did, what if this happened? And everyone went, oh, that's great. That's creepy. And I fucking hated John for 30 seconds. And I went, okay, you know what? I got to go along with this. I'm changing the ending. And that was one great thing that came of it. But then at the end of the reading, we started talking about who I was thinking of casting in the part. And Barbara said, what do you mean you're not reading this part? And I went, well, I'm the writer. And it hasn't occurred to me. And she said, oh, no. I really want to do this with you. I've worked with Barbara before. And I just went, okay, well, I guess that's something else that's come from this, is I played that part, which, frankly, as a producer, turned out to be a good thing because I saved myself a salary. So, you know, and I also probably saved us a lot of time too, because I knew all the lines, and you know, I think I as a producer, I think I made a very good choice casting that actress.
I like that attitude a lot. Yeah.
Yeah.
No, so people can. This is part of the In Fear of series. If I got that right.
It's the
season 2.
You're absolutely right.
And I've got
it's on
links
video
posted.
on demand.
Yes, it's on video on demand. You can rent it.
Oh, thank you. Yeah.
You can rent it for 99 cents, and you can buy it for $1.99.
Yeah, you can own it for $2.
For $2, and it's what? How long is it? 15, 16 minutes?
I think it clocks in now at, like, with the trailer, I think it clocks in at 17 minutes. It's a 16-minute film.
Right. Cool. Well,
it's a
you're
Twilight
absolutely right.
Zone episode. I got to write.
I really got that sense when you were writing about it, and I was one of the original supporters of it. And it's I have seen it. It's wonderful. I really do recommend people just sit down, and because when I saw the opening, I thought, oh, that's Hammond. Oh wow, that's not what I was expecting at all. And it's like, oh wow, this is really good. Yeah. I just kind of like, oh no, that's not how I expect Anne to be playing. That's weird. Oh, okay, I'm gonna stick with it. Yeah, no, it was really. I was just. I have this thing, as people may know. I hate spoilers, so I don't read reviews. I don't read write-ups. I'll look at a poster. I'll maybe look at a trailer, but that is it. Sorry, I'm just trying to work out what the dog's trying to eat. Bertie, come here.
I'm lucky. My cat's sleeping by the radiator. This is awesome. He's being so good right now.
He's been stuck at home with me today because we were supposed to be going out today, but I was supposed to be going out today.
Hey, did he like that toy I got him?
He loved that toy. Thank you. That was the other thing I was going to say. Thank you very much indeed for the toy. For those who don't know, we should probably everybody come to think of it, but Anne bought Bertie a wonderful little football toy on a rope. The rope lasted 2 minutes, as I suspected, but he's very fond of the football that's left.
Yeah. Well, good. I'm so glad.
He was searching for it because he managed to lose it behind the furniture the other day. So yes, he's very fond of that. Anyway, right. So that's Disposaphobia. As part of the season 2 of the In Fear of, and it's on the links will be below. I have to apologize to people. I've just suddenly realized the Q&A app, where people would normally not people would normally log questions. That's been has not worked for some reason. So if people are, what I'm going to try and do is ask Craig. Craig, could you see if you can log on to have a look at the YouTube and the Google Plus for this event, and see if there are any comments. I know I'm asking him to do technical things.
What kind of fly-by-night operation is this? I mean, Jesus Christ.
I know.
And I'm working on a Sunday.
You are as well. I'm very grateful for that. I know.
Come on.
It's getting towards Christmas. Christ. What can I tell you?
Bamford would never stand for this. Simon would never stand for this. No way.
I know. Yeah, I know. This is all my fault. I'll tell you, it's just been a long day today. Anyway,
I miss you.
I miss you too. We're gonna crack on with the luggage and the crypt interview now. After we've worked out how rubbish I am at all this. And the first question is, what is your view of the afterlife?
It's from where I'm sitting right now. It's funny. You and I've known each other a long time, and you know that I believe in reincarnation. And when I say reincarnation, that's kind of my idea. My belief in it hasn't changed, but my idea of what reincarnation is has changed a lot.
In what way?
I don't think that personally I can't believe that there is no such thing as recycled energy. That there's only so much energy in the world, and I think that and I just if you know animals, and if you love animals, and if you love a person, you can't just look at someone and go, they were never here before, or this isn't a product of something that is as old as time. I think that energy is as old as time, and I think that energy is really everywhere. I think that I've said it, I think there's as much energy in me as there is outside of me. I think that the energy between people is filled with us and is filled with fragments of us, and will continue to be. Does that even make sense to you?
No, that makes a lot of sense to me. I mean,
maybe I should start drinking. That really is a 2 a.m. question. You know that?
Oh, it is. Of course, yeah. No, you're absolutely the sort of thing we used to do when we were on night breed and stay up chatting in the morning.
Yeah. Oh my God. Actually, you know what? Someone has written a really interesting book to me about theories of the afterlife. Have you ever read Some by David Eagleman?
No, I've not heard of this one at all.
S as in Stephen. You can see me. I'm right here. You can see my Some by David Eagleman. And he's written these essays on the afterlife. He wrote this remarkable theory, like sort of envisioning the afterlife as like a big airport hangar with all these people who are waiting to transition to the afterlife, but they're waiting until they aren't remembered anymore.
Ooh.
And once you're not remembered, you finally get to transition and move on to the next life or to the afterlife, whatever you feel it is. But he talks about how there are old people in that waiting area because they're waiting for their spouse, who is the last person who remembers them, to die, so that they die with them, and then they both get to immediately transition into the afterlife, which is fascinating. And then you have like the guy who's the curmudgeonly man who's been there for 200 years because he was a farmer, and And then one day he decided to will all of his farmland to a university, and they built a statue in his name. And now he is constantly remembered on college tours, and everyone who he's loved has long since moved on, but he can't leave because he's remembered on these fucking college tours as they walk past his statue. I mean, it's fascinating. It's a delicious theory, and that's just one of the essays that he writes about. One of the topics he writes about.
Okay, so this is by Stephen. Sorry, by Stephen who?
By David Eagleman.
David
E-A-G. Yeah.
Yeah, Eagleman.
And I can't.
David
can't recommend his book more.
That sounds really, really fascinating, and I feel very sorry for the old curmudgeonly guy. Every time I look at a statue now, I'm just thinking, "Oh, you poor bastard! You got stuck in the warehouse now." Cool. All right.
God, well, damn it.
We're going to move on to your first choice of film to take, and I wasn't surprised when you chose this one. This is The Lion in Winter, starring Peter O'Toole and Katharine Hepburn, and I think we watched this together during.
Man!
I swear we did.
Oh man, I love that movie so much, and I'll bet you we did, because you know what? That film. Well, it's always been just. I mean, that's one of those films that it's like, as a writer, you kind of, if you think about it too much, you just want to take your computer, close it up, and put it away and just never write a word, because you'll never write The Lion in Winter. And I think it's kind of the perfect screenplay.
I know what you mean. I know what you mean. I looked it up and I thought, there's a line. I remember a line. And I couldn't quite, and I thought, okay, I'll just look at quotes from Lion in Winter, and it's Katharine Hepburn saying, somebody says, he's got a knife. Of course he's got a knife. We've all got knives. It's 11:38. We're savages.
It's 11:83, and we're all barbarians.
Yeah, we're all that's it. And then I started going through all these other ones.
Yeah.
Just line after line after. Quiet, dear, mother's fighting.
Hush, dear, mother's fighting. Yeah. Oh, I love it. I love it. You know what's awesome? I don't know if you know this, but Robin Vidgeon worked on The Lion in Winter. Did you know this?
I did not know this.
Our DP worked on The Lion in Winter. He was the assistant cameraman. Yeah, I think it was his first gig.
Well, funnily enough,
funnily enough, what?
I was going to say, well, funnily enough, I'm seeing him on Tuesday for the first time in 25 years.
What?
What? I know.
Hang on. Don't go anywhere. Hang on. Hang on.
Okay.
Oh my God! Wait.
Okay, folks. Just in case you're wondering, you may be able to hear Anne in the background, and she's run away from the camera.
Oh my God! This is so awesome. You're gonna see. Hang on. Sorry. You're seeing Robin?
They're doing a screening of Hellraiser with a Q&A afterwards, and Robin Vidgeon was originally invited, and then somebody who's involved with it I met last year, and they said, "Oh, well, would you like to come along and join Robin?" God, yeah.
Wait! Look at this.
I'm looking.
You see that? This is
the
shooting script for The Lion in Winter.
This is the shooting script. Let me just click on you.
For The Lion in Winter.
Oh, what?
Where
did you get that?
Robin gave it to me when we wrapped. It says right here. Here. It says. Can you see that?
Can't quite. And good luck with love from Robin V. DP Nightbreed, May 1989. And gave you a kiss as well. Wow.
This is one of my greatest treasures. Please tell him I have this. I treasure it. Oh, I love that you're seeing him.
I'm completely over the moon. This is in London. This is happening for anybody. And if you go to my Facebook page, there's a link there.
Son of a bitch, Robin Vidgeon.
I know. It's Alan Smithy's Cinema Verite is the guys who are hosting it. So we're screening Hellraiser, and then Robin and I are going to do a Q&A afterwards.
Please give him my love.
I will do. I will do. So yeah, Lion in Winter, as you say, yes, I know exactly what you mean by that.
Yeah, it's perfect. I can quote it verbatim. And you know it's funny. Robin told me about how that joust scene at the very beginning of the film,
Uh-huh.
which was the introduction of Richard, played by Anthony Hopkins.
Yep.
How when they did that first shot, the two dueling knights passed each other with the lances, and Hopkins' horse kept going and just kept going and went round the bend and threw him. And as a result, Hopkins shot most of that film with a broken ankle. Yeah, isn't
Wow.
that awesome?
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, absolutely. Okay. All right, so that's the line we do recommend. It is a brilliant film, and I think you can now go.
Oh, it's
I
so
remember
good.
for being very frustrated with it because they'd done that thing of conforming it to a square screen. I think when we so you obviously it's a whole it should be wide. It was filmed in widescreen, and they put it
I
on
wish.
TV.
Yeah, 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 yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah. So I don't know if they've
Absolutely.
actually done a widescreen version of it. I really
I don't
hope so.
think they have. I don't think they have. But you know, just everything, the score, the script,
And the actors as well. That's an amazing cast. I mean, you've got Timothy Dalton
oh,
playing the French. You've got, as you say, Anthony Hopkins playing Richard Lionheart and Peter O'Toole, Catherine Hepburn. It's brilliant. It's absolutely superb.
oh God, oh God. And she did that right after Spencer Tracy died.
Wow.
She did it right after Tracy died. And she said, you know, she just wanted to throw herself into her work,
Yeah.
and that Peter O'Toole was quite smitten with her,
Oh,
which I believe.
oh, completely.
I
I can
believe.
imagine. Yeah, no. Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, so the next movie, oh, which I think Craig
Mm.
had just got up, is now coming back up, thank you, is
Oh.
today's special. Now, I know nothing about this. I mean, I've seen the trailer on, but tell us about today's special. Why is this one important to you?
Today's special is another one that um, is just so sweetly written, and it's written by Asif Mandvi, who based it on a play that he wrote, um, and it's kind of a little fairy tale. It's about a guy who is a very serious chef. It combines my favorite things: really good writing, really great acting, and food. Which just don't get me started on food. But it's about a man whose family is from India. His father owns an Indian restaurant. He has become a chef, but there's something missing. He's a very driven man, and he can't quite succeed. He can't get as far as he wants to as a chef, and he's let down his family. And when his father gets a heart attack, this character, Samir, takes over his father's Indian restaurant in a place called Jackson Heights in Queens, which is a very Indian pocket of Queens. And with the help of a sort of charismatic Yoda figure, he turns this restaurant around, reconnects with his father and his culture and his cooking and his heart. It's a beautiful film. It sounds trite, and I don't mean it to sound that way. What absolutely seals that film for me is it introduced me to someone who I think is maybe one of our greatest actors. His name is Nazaruddin Shah, and he is known in India as like the Olivier of new wave Indian cinema. He's an astonishingly charismatic man. I mean, you gotta watch this movie. When you watch this movie, you cannot take your eyes off of this actor. He just gives a textbook performance, a textbook lesson in cinema acting. He's extraordinary. And he's
Wow.
cute. He's really hot, actually. He's okay. I got it. All right. I love Nazaruddin Shah. I do. I really, really do. In fact, fuck you, Nick. I do. I love him.
Excuse me, I'm just choking on my cough. That's all that's happening.
In fact, I actually, I'm adapting a book that I wrote many, many years ago that kind of almost got sold, but then didn't. And I'm adapting it into a mini-series on spec that, you know, I'm going to just send out and see if it sticks to somebody's wall. But one of the characters in it now, every time I'm writing dialogue, I keep seeing him. He's so... You just got to see it. I really recommend it. If I don't know if you can get it on Netflix in the UK, but you can download it on Netflix. It streams on Netflix in the US. And
yeah, it's all very, very different as to what we can and can't get. But
yeah,
actually, if not, it may well be on iTunes or Amazon. To be honest,
yeah,
I usually just end up by ordering DVDs, and I now have, and now since the Nightbreed
yeah.
screening, when I was given a DVD of Nightbreed, I now have a Region 1 DVD player.
Oh, do you?
Yes.
Congratulations. You need to have some Nightbreed parties. Mm.
Right,
But
okay.
anyway, I find that film wonderful every time I see it. Whenever I'm in a bad mood, I put it on.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, it's
A real
just,
feel-good
and every
movie
time
then.
I see it, I see something new. It's a feel-good movie. It's delightful, and it's also all about food. And just don't get me started. I love my food. I
Brilliant.
do.
Well, we'll move on to the next movie, which I think is going to be slightly
Interesting.
different. And this is Roman Polanski's The Tenant. And I know
Tenant.
nothing about this, but I found these images online. And that's Roman Polanski in a dress.
You've
And
never seen The Tenant.
I've never seen The Tenant. I know I'm just rubbish. Um, this is one of the reasons
I
why I
envy
do
you.
this.
I actually, I, I actually kind of envy you that you haven't seen it because, whew, it's a mind fuck. And you know what? There's a reason. If you've seen Disposaphobia, or if you do see Disposaphobia in future, I think psychological horror is where true horror lies.
Mm, yep.
That to me is, and the best slasher films have an element of psychological horror to them. The Tenant is just a nightmare. It is an absolute nightmare. And it unspools in Roman Polanski's incredibly tolerant way. He just lets, he's so comfortable making people uncomfortable. Not just his actors, but the viewer. It's so, I mean, your flesh crawls for this guy. And it's devastatingly creepy. Devastatingly creepy. Um,
Ooh.
and it's such a bizarre cast, too. It's Melvin Douglas, Shelley Winters. Shelley Winters playing a French concierge. Well, a concierge in a French block of flats.
Uh-huh.
If you don't know the story, it's about Roman Polanski is this character, an emigre, who is looking for an apartment, and he takes the apartment in a slightly opportunistic way, not a cruel way, but in an opportunistic way, of a woman who has tried to commit suicide and ultimately dies from it, succumbs to her suicide attempt. And so he's living in a dead girl's apartment. And in living in this weird building with weird tenants, weird neighbors, his mind starts to unravel. And this conspiracy starts to unfold. And you watch it and you can't believe what you're seeing. It's a wonderful film. Creepy. And again, another one, if I'm taking something into the afterlife, I want to take something that, I can watch a few times and not go, I've seen absolutely everything there is to see in this movie. I still see more and more and more every time I watch The Tenant.
Cool. Cool. All right, then.
Yeah.
Well, we'll move on to your next choice, which is we're going to move on to books now. And the first choice of your book is the Oxford English Dictionary. And I thought, well, I have to find it where when I'm looking for photographs of this, it's got to be, ideally it would have been leather bound rather than cloth bound. But I'm assuming you just want lots.
That's okay.
You don't want a disc, you don't want a PC on it, you want a book, a proper physical book.
Absolutely. My friends Helen and Tim have the complete OED, and I just, I love I love short stories. I love, I made a short film. The first film I ever made was a short film. I love The Twilight Zone, which I think is, in fact, if you had asked about movies, I was going to say, can I include the entire Twilight Zone series as a movie? But I knew you weren't going to go along with that. Because for me, The Twilight Zone is about as perfect as storytelling ever got in the visual arts.
Yeah, and greatly helped by the fact they had some wonderful writers on in the early, and there were some great writers later on as well.
Which is your favorite Twilight Zone episode?
I don't know the name of it, but it's the one where
don't worry.
Yeah, it's the one where he's on the planet, and he's delivered a female robot.
Yes.
And he falls in love with the female robot. And I'm not going to tell you the ending, but I did cry at the end of that one. I just thought, that's terrible. No, I didn't want that one to end badly.
And I can't remember the name of it, but yeah.
It's in the first series. I know because I've got the first season, or the first DVD collection downstairs.
Yeah. He's a prisoner, and he's been sentenced to living on this planet as his crime, his punishment. Yeah. His punishment is
That's right. Yes. And for some reason, either by mistake,
was Corey.
Yeah, and for some reason, this doll, this android, is left with him, and it's beautifully done. It's just very, very, as you say, very simple.
Painful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a very painful one. Yeah, I mean, it's really, but that's the thing. The Twilight Zone had such an economy. An economy of language, an economy of storytelling. They only told what really needed to be told. They got in and they got out.
Yep.
And they left you with your own conscience.
Yep.
It was a very rattling thing. And getting back to the OED.
Yes.
To me, the OED, every entry is like a little short story. I just open it up and look up fish, and you get this story, you get this little novella of an entry, and I love that. I never get bored reading the OED.
I know what you mean. For those of you who haven't read the OED, what it's famous for is the fact that it will give you examples through history, so you actually get an excerpt from a newspaper article where the word was about 10, 12 words, something like that. Not just the etymology of the word, but you actually get 2 or 3 examples of how it was used in real life. Because that's one of the, that's the criteria for the OED anyway. But I remember a friend of mine used to have the compact OED, which was a big volume. It was about that big. It's 2 volumes. The writing in it was so small, it came with its own magnifying glass.
Oh, I love it.
In a drawer at the bottom of this thing, in a slipcase, and you had to. That was the only way you were going, because obviously it was just completely. You can see that this is volumes, and it's about 20 volumes, the original, and it's the story of how it was created. And if you find the books and the stories about how it was actually created, and the men who.
Actually, one of the best books on that subject is The Professor and the Madman.
Yes, that's the one I'm thinking of.
Yeah, it's a fabulous book, and it's really brilliantly researched.
Yes.
Very, very thorough, and it really does cover that. And you had to be a little mad to put all that shit in there.
Yeah, completely obsessive. Excuse me.
Yeah.
Excuse me. Oh, God, my eyes are watering now as well. I hate doing these things with a cold. Okay, we'll move on to the next one. We'll move on the OED. Seems like no one gets it, but commenting. Yes. Right, okay, I've got a couple. Craig?
Hello.
I'll come back to these questions at the end, if I may. If you can just keep an eye out. It's right, Craig's just trying to be... We are receiving your questions, guys. Yeah, the Q&A app is turned off for some reason. I've no idea why. I must have double-clicked it or something.
He's getting them. He's getting them. Okay.
But we are getting them. Craig is looking at them. He's making a note, and he'll bring them through to me at the end. So we are... Yeah.
Oh, cool. Awesome.
Yes. So the... what I was going to go on to the next one is the next one. So this is your next choice of a book.
There it is. I see it.
The Yellow Wallpaper by Charlotte Perkins Stetson? No. How do I say that? Charlotte Perkins.
Charlotte Perkins Gilman.
Is it? It
Feel
says
good.
Stetson on the front of that cover. How big? How
Are you
peculiar.
kidding?
No,
Wait
I'm
a second.
not.
That's not possible. Hang on.
That's what it says there. It says
That
Stetson.
can't be.
How big? How bizarre. But Craig immediately recognized it when I said.
Craig, help your sweetie.
No, this is my poor research. This is my research. This has nothing to do with Craig. This
Charlotte
was.
Perkins Gilman, another one, another just brilliant economy of language, terrifying story. You know, I'm so glad I wrote Disposaphobia. And as I'm hearing all this and seeing this and revisiting all this, I'm realizing just how many really creepy influences I've had in my life. I really have. For anyone who doesn't know, it's a novella about a woman's descent into madness, and it's told in the first person as a sort of journal entry, a sort of interior monologue, and it is. They actually, on YouTube here in America, there is a 10-part, you can see it in installments, British film adapted from it that, as Alistair Cook said, would freeze your blood, and it really does. The yellow wallpaper, look it up on YouTube. It's in, I think, 9 or 10 installments. It took me years to actually see the last 30 seconds of that film. It's still just, it still can, it'll fuck with you. It's brilliant.
Right.
Just
Yeah.
trust me. Trust me on this one.
Yep. No, absolutely. Okay. So the next one, which my glamorous assistant Craig is going to.
Oh, sorry. I'm commissioning you about 3 things at once.
Thank you, Craig. I know you are. Thank you, darling. It's a very homespun show, this one. You know, it's very real.
I love it.
Byzantine art in the making, main lines of stylistic development in Mediterranean art, 3rd to 7th century by Ernst Kitzinger.
Kitzinger. Yeah.
Ernst Kitzinger. Sounds wonderful.
Yeah. It's a good book. It's. What was that?
This is Craig talking in the background.
Craig?
That's Craig.
Oh, is he? Hi, Craig.
Craig's talking to the dog. Yeah.
Oh, look at what he's doing.
So we're getting little things of Craig at the moment.
I love it. Yeah, Byzantine art in the making. Don't mock me, and don't think that this is like some sort of artsy fartsy choice. I think it's a brilliant book. I think it's actually incredibly timely. I'm always fascinated. I don't know if you know, Nick. You do know. I went on to NYU and studied anthropology and studied classics and studied the social anthropology of Rome. And you hear now, especially here in America, about the fall of the Roman Empire and how we are becoming more and more like the oligarchs of the later Roman imperial period. And I wouldn't disagree, but I do find it fascinating to see how empires fall and where it starts, and how destruction begins in tiny little fissures and almost always in the social landscape before the political landscape collapses. And this is a book that covers a period in art history and in social history that is not covered a whole lot, or certainly not as well, about how an entire civilization with hot and cold running water, with a fairly literate society, could in the course of 100 years willingly plunge itself into a primitivism unseen for 6 centuries previous. It's a fascinating account, and it tells it through art, which is It's a really, really good read. It's definitely a pot of coffee read, but if you can get a hold of it, I think that book is brilliant, and I never get bored of reading it. I read it, I take it back down and reread it a couple of times a year.
Fascinating.
I'm a nerd, aren't I?
You're an intelligent and beautiful woman, is what you are.
Thank you, but I'm a nerd too. I'm hearing myself talk, and I'm going, Jesus, listen to you. So
it's absolutely no. I don't think anyone should ever be embarrassed about the fact that they want to learn, that they love learning, and that
there's that great
history
line
can
in The
teach us.
Insider. In The Insider, which is the only other movie that I would have put on the list, is Michael Mann's The Insider, which is about the big tobacco 60 Minutes interview. And but there's a great line in it, one of many, when Al Pacino is on the phone with his connection at the FBI trying to find out why the police are harassing this whistleblower. And the FBI guy is going, I don't know anything about this, and you got to give me a break because, we're tracking the Unabomber here. We're really busy. And Al Pacino goes, he doesn't let him off the hook. Al Pacino's like, are these cops, have they been promised jobs at Big Tobacco? How are they getting paid off? And the FBI guy says, all right, look, I'll look into it. And Al Pacino says, you better look into it because I'm getting two things, pissed off and curious. And I think that's what we should all be, pissed off and curious, because that's when we start to lift up the rocks that, society just wants us to walk over. Yeah. And Byzantine Art in the Making is a very good rock to lift up because it's very, very pertinent to our time.
Interesting. Okay, well, we're going to move on to something slightly historical, massively historical. Craig, can we have the next slide, please? Yep. Very good. I need to work out a way that I can let him know that we need to move on without him just shouting. Bless his little cotton socks. This is 1776, the musical, and I remember you quoting this to me when we were making Nightbreed, and you quoted it. You corrected my quotation from it recently when we were in Dayton. So I wasn't surprised to see this one on the list. Tell us a little bit about
people that quote that people would rather believe in the possibility. Now I'm paraphrasing.
Yeah.
Would rather believe in the possibility of being rich. Pew, stop it. Caught me mid-quote. I'm sorry, he just almost brought down a mirror. That's always interesting. Hang on a second. Pew, 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 pew. Hop up. We're about to get a nice appearance by my blind cat, because otherwise he's going to start knocking over furniture. Come here.
Yep.
Pew, pew, pew. He'll be here. The quote by John Dickerson in 1776 says that people would rather believe in the possibility of being rich than face the reality of being poor.
Yes.
And that is very, very pertinent to today. 1776 is such a kick-ass musical. It's not even a musical. It's really, even Peter Stone, who wrote it, called it a play with music. And it really is. It's a different look at the people who signed the Declaration of Independence. What a ballsy story. You've seen it, haven't you?
I haven't, no. I was looking, it is available as a movie. I've never, it's not the sort of thing that would necessarily come on over here. But yes, no,
it's quite extraordinary. I recommend it so highly, so highly.
I've seen little bits of it on YouTube when I was doing the research for this, and thinking that does look very, very interesting, and the description of it.
Oh, it's awesome, and a star-studded cast, and just remarkable music. I just go watch it.
I will. I've only got 30 odd DVDs that I'm supposed to have watched, so I can add and make it 30.
I'm so not surprised at this about you.
I managed to watch Castaway today, through all the tunes. But anyway, that's
one I haven't seen actually.
Oh, it's very interesting. It's the classic line when people are saying, "I'm doing an audition and the other person wasn't very good, therefore I wasn't very good," and everyone just says, "Listen, Tom Hanks had a volleyball in Castaway. That's all he did most of his dialogue with."
Hey, you know what? I kind of understand people though. I have had occasions where I've wanted to have someone's head shot off camera instead of the actor I was dealing with, because I figured like I would get more.
Yeah.
You know,
yeah.
that's actually true. I have had situations where I've worked with actors who are just giving absolutely nothing.
Yeah.
You've had them too, I'm sure.
Yeah. Yeah.
Simon Bamford. I mean, face it, guy's an asshole. But, you know.
It's so not.
Put his headshot up.
Yeah, well, yeah. Once the sun had got to him and it exploded, he wasn't giving much after that. And
I love you, my Si. I love you, Simon.
We'll move on to the next. Just because of time, and because.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry.
And we'll move on to the next one.
Talk too much. Sorry.
No, it's not you. It's me. I'm supposed to be running this show.
No,
Craig, could we have the next slide, please? Yes, and this is going to be now. You'll cheerfully correct my pronunciation. This is by Karol Szymanowski.
Let me help. I'll just Szymanowski.
Stabat Mater, or Mater, whichever you prefer. Stabat Mater. What is Stabat Mater? I know it's a Catholic thing. What does Stabat Mater mean?
Stabat Mater is. There have been other Stabat Maters. I think Dvorak did a Stabat Mater.
Yeah.
Stabat Mater is basically an ode to the Virgin Mary on basically on the death of her son.
Right.
So it's basically the tears of the mother, the plight of the mother of Christ.
Right.
I'm a very, very, very lapsed Catholic. I'm like so not Catholic, but Karol Szymanowski's Stabat Mater, it's in Polish and it's in 6 parts, and the 4th, 5th, and 6th to me are, well, the 4th and the 6th in particular, the 4th and 6th movements are about as perfect as I think music gets.
Really?
That and Thomas Tallis's Speminalium. But honestly, the 4th movement of Szymanowski's Stabat Mater, the 4th movement, just go to it, and you will just hear the voice of your God. Whatever your God is, whatever perfection is for you, you will hear the musical embodiment of it in the 4th movement of Karol Szymanowski's Stabat Mater.
Interesting, because I started listening to it on. I heard it's on YouTube.
The 4th movement.
The 4th movement. Because I was listening to the first one. I thought, oh, this sounds a bit atonal, and I'm not fond of atonal music.
Yeah. Just wait. The 4th movement is a cappella. It's choir. It's choral piece, and you can't believe that it can get more beautiful, and it does constantly. You just go. Yeah.
Okay, you got me sold on that one. We'll move that. I'll definitely go. I shall give it more chance, and definitely the 4th and 6th movements in that case, definitely a different chance. We'll move on to your next one, which is onto the stage, which is basically anything on the stage, and your choice is The Real Thing by Tom Stoppard.
Tom Stoppard. Mm-hmm.
Why this one particularly?
I think it's a perfect play. It's a perfect play. Tom is a. I feel so fortunate that I live in the same time that Tom Stoppard is alive. I'm so fortunate that I've worked with him. I actually did The Real Thing. I was the final Debbie, who is the daughter of the Jeremy Irons character in the original production of The Real Thing on Broadway. It's just a perfect play.
Wow, I did not know that.
He's such a phenomenal writer. I adore him. He's, aside from the fact that he's like the Mick Jagger of the playwriting world, I mean, the guy's hot. he is.
His son is as well.
I mean, he just is. He's fascinating. He's a fascinating man. He's an astonishing writer.
He just makes words dance. I mean, I love. I mean, when I was at when I was at school, when I was a teenager, it's around about 13, 14. One of the plays we had to study was Rosencrantz and Guildenstern are Dead by Tom Stoppard. Which, if you don't know it, guys, there is a movie. It's actually a very good movie.
Gary Oldman, Tim Roth.
Yes,
Richard
absolutely.
Dreyfuss.
Yeah,
Richard Dreyfuss.
It's brilliant. I mean, and he also wrote Shakespeare in Love, or one of the
Artists
co-wrote.
Descending a Staircase.
Yeah, and I'm trying to think of what. Oh,
Arcadia.
Every Good Boy Deserves
And
Favor.
and the absolutely brilliant 15-minute Hamlet. The 15-minute Hamlet is incredible. Oh my God, he's brilliant. Do we have time for me to tell you how I met him?
Yeah, go on. Sure.
Yeah?
Go on,
it's
please.
kind of a cute story. So I was in The Real Thing, and I was living in New Jersey, which, if you're in the UK, it's about my town was about an hour away by bus, and I was 16 years old, and I was coming in to do matinees. I would leave school, I would come in, and it was a Wednesday matinee, and we knew that Tom was flying in from London, and he was going to be seeing the show, and we'd be rehearsing with him, and we were all very excited. I went to a Catholic school in New Jersey, and I would leave school, get on the bus, get out of the Port Authority, walk the 4 blocks to the theater, and I would sometimes bring a change of clothes with me, but sometimes I was in my little Catholic schoolgirl uniform, which made for a very interesting walk from Times Square, but if I didn't have time, I would just run to the theater. So that day, I was there in my little Catholic schoolgirl uniform, ran to the theater, got there in time for, early. Whoever was there first, we had a rule, would make the coffee. I was the first person there, I thought. So I go into the basement of our theater where we had a green room area. And there was this man standing in the middle of the basement. And he looked like he belonged there. And he just went, hello, and I went, hello, and I went to make coffee, and as I went to make coffee, I looked back at him, and he hadn't moved, but I could see his whole body at that point, and I realized he was wearing a trench coat and no pants. He had no pants on. And all of a sudden, I'm sitting there in my little uniform, looking at this guy in a trench coat with no pants and just socks, and suddenly the pot of coffee got really, really interesting, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? Who is this man? And after what was probably only 3 seconds, this guy just goes, oh, this is just ridiculously awkward. Let me explain. And it turned out it was Tom, and he had, in getting off the plane from London, had slipped and split his pants, and my friend Penny, who was the wardrobe supervisor, was in the back, sort of running up the pants to try and repair them, and that was my introduction to Tom. Was this guy with no pants, and that was the beginning of our friendship, and he is a lovely man, and I'm sure he looks just as good in trousers as out of them. I only just saw him with the coat, but he's a good guy. Love him. So yeah,
Brilliant.
The Real Thing is perfect, and I love it, and I love him.
Yeah. So we'll take, and we'll have Tom's, should it allow. We'll
I never touched her.
No, I'm just going to say, once you do, hopefully by the time that you get to going into the luggage in the crypt, you'll have your perfect cast, and Tom Stoppard will be directing you, directing the show for you, and you'll be able to play it, of course. Right. Okay. Well, I don't need a slide for the next one, because this is a piece of furniture, and this is my best friend's bed.
Yeah. I think it's interesting. I can't imagine anyone not telling you that their favorite piece of furniture is a bed.
It's interesting. I was thinking Simon was the last person on to do this, and it was his bed rather than his best friend's bed. But his beautiful oak bed was his thing. Barbie took a table.
Okay.
People have had some other, but no, I can appreciate this. If you're expecting to be,
I've had very strange relationships with beds, and for the longest time, after I started living on my own in New York and then in Brooklyn, I kind of lived monastically as a result of my relationships with beds. And I always thought of the beds in my life as just places I would go to put my head down until I had to wake up the next day. I never really thought of them as a place of honoring yourself and being really, really good to yourself. And finally, I decided to get a bigger bed than this little monastic bed that I had. And so this was my second bed, was this just absolutely, here comes the cat. Here he comes. Blind Pew. Ladies and gentlemen, Blind Pew making an appearance. Pew, pew, pew. Hey, say hi to everybody. Come here. Say hello. There he is. This is Blind Pew.
Oh,
He
bless
is
him.
blind.
He really
He's
is
ridiculous.
blind.
He's ridiculous.
He's gorgeous, though.
Anyway, yeah, he's an asshole. Look, he's an asshole, trust me. He's an asshole. So I finally decided to get a slightly bigger bed than this sort of monastic cot that I was living in. And never even occurred to me to get anything except something fast. So I called 1-800-mattress, and I think they delivered me like the lemon that they had not been able to unload for 20 years. So my mattress is just way not correct for me. It's too hard. It's not comfortable. My bed is a beautiful bed, but the mattress just sucks. My best friend has a bed that you just get in it and you just immediately are at peace. Inevitably, you fall asleep in about 30 seconds, but it's just so honoring. And it's a beautiful bedroom, it's a beautiful bed, it's a beautiful mattress, and that would be, yeah, if I go to the afterlife, I'm taking that bed with me. And he can sleep on my bed.
I was going to say,
he's a chiropractor. He can adjust himself. He's fine.
Oh, fair enough. So your next choice is favorite food. And now this is the wrong type of mayonnaise, though in my research I discovered this is now popular in America than...
It's just the popular mayonnaise.
Yeah, it's just the popular. We have jars of it downstairs, I have to say. So which brand of mayonnaise
the
would
best,
you choose?
I would say, if you don't make your own, I like to make my own. I would say Duke's mayonnaise. It's a very, very small company in Virginia. Mayonnaise is brilliant. Mayonnaise. I mean, even salad cream. I'll go along with sour cream, salad cream. I think frite sauce. Anything with eggs and oil and lemon and salt. Whip it up.
Right.
If I had to have a perfect food to have with it, I would have to say French fries. But frankly, I could just, if I'm in the afterlife and I'm not going to gain weight anyway, and no one's looking because nobody knows me on that beach, I just sit there with mayonnaise and a spoon.
I think the French fries and mayonnaise is a wonderful dish, as the Belgians will tell you.
Please. Oh my God.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Okay, we'll move on.
And actually, you know what, though? I will say, just as one quick aside.
Sure.
If I did have to actually pick a logical food, I would just have to say the best bread there is.
The best bread that there is. Okay, and this would be what? A wholemeal, a seeded loaf? What?
No, nothing fancy. Just a really good crusty white flour bread, a ciabatta, a baguette, just something with balls, just like, something with crust and then a nice, warm, tangy, chewy center.
And basically
like
just
sex.
very soon. Yeah.
that was just.
That's not a link I've ever made before. Thank you for that. Remind me to put. No, that's fine. Remind me to put the adult warning on this video when it goes live.
Sorry. And I swear too much. I know.
No, it's fine. It's fine. You wouldn't be you. I remember reading one of your Facebook posts where you gleefully told people how you could stop autocorrecting on your phone, swear
Yeah.
words.
I mean, if you don't know this, this is great. Here's what you do. If you want autocorrect to stop correcting you when you curse, go to your contact list and just make a contact of fuck, shit, piss, motherfucker, cocksucker. You'll never be autocorrected again.
That's very useful to know, and something I don't think I'm ever going to need to worry about. But because I'm just angry.
Yeah, you're a good guy. You never curse. You don't curse at all.
Unless I'm
you really
driving.
Don't.
As Craig will curse.
And still we're friends.
I know. The best of.
I like
Okay,
it.
your next choice. Just because I'm conscious of time, this is never run an hour. We'll probably be finishing around about 20 past. I will get to questions. But so this is your choice of a comic or graphic novel.
Oh yeah, Mouse.
Which is one of the
Mouse, absolutely.
Yeah, I have to say, in just doing, if you just Google mouse, and Google images for mouse, the interesting thing I find fascinating is you get very many different panels in lots of different languages. I remember this when it first came out, and how amazing it is. Subtitle: A Survivor's Tale. My Father's History.
It's fascinating to me, and as a lover of history and as a lover of personal stories, and you know, the story I told you I was adapting into a miniseries is basically a mystery that explores what could have possibly happened to the art that was stolen by the Nazis.
Right.
And that period of time has always fascinated me. There are so many untold stories. There's as many untold stories as there are survivors, people who died and their descendants. I mean, it's endless. And that period of time, Europe between the wars, Europe during the rise of the Third Reich. I mean, it just fascinates me. And I still, again, that's another book that I take down several times a year and just read cover to cover.
I was just looking round to see if I could lay my hands. I know I have a copy of it somewhere, and I think it's in one of my inspiration shelves. For those of you who don't know, basically the mice are the Jews and the cats are the Nazis. Is the whole. It's just beautifully so moving.
I love hearing that it's being taught in high schools. You know, it's really an extraordinary story. I mean, that's another one where you sort of kind of want to take your computer and just throw it out the window and go, well, why bother? Mouse is written, so it's sort of like, oh my God. Okay.
Yeah. No, I completely understand that. Okay, we'll move on to your next one. Which is your video game or game app.
It's such a lazy answer. It's such a.
I'm telling you, this is a great answer. Why have you chosen this one?
Because I'm in it and I've never seen it. I want to see how it works. So stupid. God.
I think that's wonderful. I love because some of the quotations. Hello, cat. Backing interview.
Is he back? Oh, yeah, he is, isn't he? Hi.
I think it's a great reason for taking something in.
I've seen scenes of it. I have, and it looks amazing. The music is extraordinary, but I've never actually played it, so I could play it.
I'm going to be talking to
They say never work with children and animals.
Blind Pew is definitely taking the center stage occasionally.
Oh, he knows. Here he comes. He's back. Hello.
Now, did you do just the voiceover, or did you do the motion capture as well? Because some of my friends.
No motion capture. It was all voice.
It was all the voice because I've seen some of it. Yeah, I've seen some trailers for it, and it looks amazing.
Ooh. Actually, you know what? I think there were sessions where I was filmed.
Right.
Now, I don't know if that had anything to do with the ultimate. I'll have to go to the afterlife and play it to find out.
Yeah.
But I was filmed on occasion while I was recording that. Yeah.
Okay. Okay, we'll move on to your next one, just because I'm conscious of time, and we'll get through these next one. before we get to the questions. So this is by an artist called Seurat.
George Seurat.
George Seurat, the gardener. And it is known, it's a method known as pointillism. I know that much. And he was inspiration for Sunday in the Park with George, the musical by Sondheim. But why this particular one?
It's just because of his pointillist touch. You look at his paintings different ways at different distances, and he just in such, this is a very small painting for him. It's a very small painting, and you gotta actually, I'm looking at it right now, you gotta actually get close and see how, with such a minimum of touch of paint, such a minimum of strokes, of dots, he created such a glorious gesture, really just captured in such an immediate moment in time. It's just so frozen. It's just one of the most graceful uses of such a spare style.
When I'm looking at it now myself, and I'll just put it back up there again for everyone, and it is the light, it's the dappled light coming through the trees. It's obviously fairly late in the afternoon because the shadows are so long. And
they're long.
Yeah,
yes.
Yeah, and
yes.
and it's afternoon, not morning, because there's such a warmth to the picture.
Yeah.
And it you know, the light falling on his shirt and so on. It's just beautiful. It's absolutely gorgeous.
But when you get up close and you see the 36 or so dots and choices of color that make the gardener's silhouette, his profile, and you see the pink and the purple and you don't see how this is going to make sense, and then you take a step back and you start to get this immediacy in that painting. It's breathtaking. I still go and just stand in front of it every now and then when I need a little bit of proof that that there's more to life.
Which is what great art is all about. Absolutely. Okay, We'll move on to your next choice, which is a statue by Antonio Rossellino's. Rossellino, not O's, no apostrophe there, Nick. Listed as Virgin and Child. He's such a cheerful little child. He's such a cheerful little fella.
And such again, the spontaneity of that moment. The spontaneity in that mother's face. Just he's such a sweet little kid. You know, there's just something so timeless in her face. Something so, again, spontaneous.
It really is. He is a child who's enthusiastic about the world. He wants to greet it. Yeah. He wants to, he's obviously, it's almost as if there's another character off screen. He's focused on this person. This is the
closest, I think. Yeah, this is the closest the Middle Ages got to, like, one of those photo booths at Walmart. Hold still. Yep. Take the picture.
But you just sense the
smiles for the nice sculptor, and it's so universal, that look in that mother's eye of just.
And the child the child is so. Yes, you're absolutely right. He's proud. This is my child, and my child is really delighted to see whoever it is who's
and he's
on camera,
just being.
If you like.
He's just being such a person.
Yeah.
Yeah. She's like seeing her child being a person who's finding something fucking hysterical, and it's so timeless. The clothing isn't, the medium isn't, even the posture necessarily isn't, but that communication is. And
It's
I've always
absolutely
loved that
beautiful.
sculpture. Didn't I take you to see that with me once? I used to take people to see that all the time. It
Whereabouts
was
is?
right by the cafe. It was right outside the cafe, past the costume
I
hall
don't
at the
think we
Victoria
did.
and Albert. It's right by the cafe.
You might have done. I'm not sure.
I
Might
loved it.
have done. I don't.
I would go there,
I
I would
didn't.
look at that sculpture for half an hour, and then I would go have scones and clotted cream.
It sounds like the sort of thing we
Without
probably did.
mayonnaise.
Without mayonnaise.
I think it is.
So that one's in the V&A. Okay, cool. All right
Yeah,
then.
the V&A.
So that's. I'm going to ask Craig to bring through the questions that we've had asked in a few moments.
Oh, great.
Talk about, because we're now to the end of your choices, apart from the last one.
Yes.
So, what costume would you be buried in?
Yeah, that's a tough one. You know, my dad died when I was 19, and he died very suddenly, and he left no plans, no wishes. And we all sat around the table, my kitchen table, my mom, my brother, my sister, and I, and went, what do we do? How do we go about this funeral? Just the actual day to day. We have to get through the next 3 days. And the year before my dad died, almost to the day, my grandfather had died, and it was a February. And excuse me, I remember going to bed the night after my grandfather was buried, thinking about his body just in that earth. And it made no sense to me. It was completely illogical. I think fire is divine. I think fire is perfection. And I told my mom, I think if none of you object, I think Dad should be cremated, because I think that's something beautiful. And they agreed, and my dad was cremated. And I just believe that if I'm going out, man, I want to go out as something beautiful. And I don't think that there's anything. The only way you can take the perfection and the beauty of fire further is to make a firework. So I say, just cover me in fireworks, give me the Viking funeral, put me on that pyre, just naked with fireworks, and just burn me and just shoot me up and shoot me out. That's.
I can see you sailing off on your boat with your pyre and everything, with the flaming arrows, letting it go, and then just this amazing
sort of like,
firework display
yeah, sort of
going
like
on.
the end of Excalibur with a little more meaning.
Yeah.
Me and Nigel Terry at the end of Excalibur. Just put some fireworks on me, though.
That sounds
You
great.
asked. You
I know.
asked.
I
the
did
question.
ask, and I think it's a wonderful answer. I think it's an absolutely beautiful answer. Craig, could you do me a favour? Can you just reach down that photograph, that black and white photograph, for me as well? Suddenly realised I really wanted to show Anne this before we go into questions.
But I can't see you.
But let me just. This is a photograph that sits in my study. It sat in my lounge, and it was moved up into my study when I set up my study, because it's my two favourite people from Nightbreed. Sorry, everybody else, but definitely.
Oh, no.
I think it's such a beautiful photograph of you two, because it's just so candid. It's not. I don't know if it was staged. I don't know if you remember it being taken. But
describe it to me, because I can't see you. So.
Hold on. Why? Oh, sorry.
I'm
so sorry.
Text it to me, or
No, hold
if you
on.
text it to me, I can see it, because I've got my phone here.
Can you see this? Can you see it now? No, you can't see it.
Unless it's in my living room, I can't see it.
Oh no! All right, it's a photograph of you and Clive sitting on the set of Nightbreed.
Okay.
I'm sorry, you had said at the very beginning.
Are we inside or outside?
You're outside. I think it's round the back of the.
Are we in director's chairs? Is there
yes,
lots of
you're in
beads around us?
chairs.
I love that photo. That's one of Murray's, and I love that picture.
Yes.
Oh, send that, though. I don't have a copy
I will
of that.
do it. I'll get a scan of that and I'll send that across.
I would love to see that.
Apologies.
I love my
Clive.
Clive.
To see that. Right then. Okay. Okay, so we have 4 questions
Okay.
from people. Okay, that's
Okay.
5 questions. Okay, Jonathan, Vicky, Chris, Fernando, and Mick. Okay, so Jonathan Hughes, what horror movies have you seen this year that stood out for you? Have you seen any horror movies this year?
I actually just saw The Babadook.
I haven't seen that yet. I'm really looking. I've had a cold.
You gotta see it. You
Yeah.
gotta see it. That is, again, a complete mind fuck. I mean, complete mind fuck. That would be the one I would say, yeah, that's it. Go see The Babadook.
Cool. Absolutely. I know the short. I saw the short film on which it was based. That they did originally. Yeah.
Oh, I never knew there was a short film.
Yes, there's a short.
Really?
Yeah, which is really interesting. So it's
Really?
yeah. So it's going to be interesting to see what they did with the longer version of it.
Send me the link. I'd like to see that.
Yeah. Okay, Vicky Lowe asks, if Nightbreed took place in the Hellraiser universe, Cenobite's Labyrinth rather than Midian, what do you think Laurie would have done with the returned boon? I'll ask that again. If Nightbreed took place in the Hellraiser universe, Cenobite's Labyrinth rather than Midian, what do you think Laurie would have done with the returned boon?
Well, I guess, I mean, my first question to that, my answer would be a question, would be if he was coming back as Cabal, what would have been Cabal's mission? Would he have been looking, the mythology? It's a good question. I think that Laurie certainly has the conscience to want to protect those who are being discriminated against. My guess, I mean, that's a really interesting question. That's actually a pot of coffee question. That's one that I would want to think over more thoroughly. But I guess the thing is, it would be, what would have been Boone's mission at that point? Would it have been to draw more people into hell? I think that may be her question. And would Laurie have become sort of Boone's procurer?
Oh, that's a very interesting idea.
Hey, Clive, this would make a great movie. Holy shit!
They did a Hellraiser but Nightbreed crossover in the comics.
Yeah, with Laurie procuring and them procuring.
Yeah.
I think, frankly, I think Laurie would have done whatever Boone wanted.
Yeah.
I think so. I think
and that's what comes out in the director's cut now. It's logical what she does.
Yeah.
Right. This is a long
Redemption.
one. Redemption. This is from Chris Osgood. The one thing, even though there are many things that I love about Nightbreed, concept of monsters being the heroes, obviously you were drawing from something deep. You were drawing from something deep within to do an amazing job with this film. Could you share how you prepared for this film? There are so many complex elements to the film, and you were able to create a seamless honesty with strength that is hard to capture. So how did you prepare to do Nightbreed?
That's a really good question. And even as I was hearing it unfold, oddly enough, I think that the one thing I really did to prepare was to let go of all of my preparation. I had to trust everyone around me, and I wanted to. That was such a jolly set, wasn't it, Nick?
Oh, it was, yeah. I mean, that's the great thing about it. We had, I think, one of the things about it that people, I think, has been alluded to recently, was perhaps alluded to when we did the Nightbreed screening in Los Angeles. It was a jolly set, a lot of the time, because you had a lot of young people working on this from Image Animation, who are on the set, working with the monsters. Clive is always a laugh to be around. He keeps people's spirits up in amazing fashion. And it was tough. Even when it was tough, it did get tough. But there were a lot of young people around who had this amazing energy and talent, animation particularly. So yeah. Yeah.
And I do think that really was really the most important thing, because again, it's sort of like what I said at the beginning of this when I talked about how making a film is about diplomacy, but it's also really, really about collaboration and about trusting the people you're with, and knowing that you're all intent on doing your best job. And I realized that if I thought for a second I could steer a ship like that and know what I was doing, I should have just hung my hat up and run for God, because you really can't. You kind of have to trust. And I think my greatest preparation was going, look, you do know this character, you're and you do know yourself. Now trust that both of those things are going to come into play if you just let everyone else work with you.
I think it's very interesting, because I'm also working on a movie at the moment, but I was also thinking about something somebody said to me the other day, was that they'd heard a rumor that when Clive first walked onto the set of Hellraiser on the first day, and I have to ask Robin Vision if this is true, Clive turned around to everyone and said, okay, so what do we do? And and I think and I think when they had interpreted that to say that, and as Clive has written about the fact that he couldn't find any books on how to make movies. The only book that was in the library was out when he looked for it. But I think it's actually part of Clive's collaborative approach. Yeah, because Clive would. I always felt able to walk up to Clive with my latest daft idea. And he would always listen.
Exactly right.
Yeah, and he's just like, well, this is what I got in my head, because we do, you've got the script. That's all you can really work with. We weren't rehearsing. Did you do any rehearsals, by the way? Somebody asked me the other day before filming started, or did you just turn up on?
Oh, you mean before we start?
Yeah.
No, I mean you always rehearse before you shoot, but oh God, no, we didn't.
No.
And I say that. But I have done films. Born on the 4th of July, we rehearsed the whole thing before we shot it. We rehearsed it in New York before we went to Dallas. But no, Nightbreed we did not. Clive took on he's from theater. He had a very theatrical approach. It was all just sort of like, get the actors on the stage, give them their costumes, give them the words, and let's see what they do.
Yeah.
That was what he did, which was so awesome.
Yes, yeah, because it has to become a point as a director where you just literally just have to trust your cast, and everyone's doing their job around you, and so on. It's fascinating.
Absolutely.
Cool. Okay, last two questions. Oh, yes, sorry. This is from Fernando, who is from the fans of Clive Barker in Argentina.
Oh,
when we were in
Dayton.
Yeah. He just says, thank Nico and Anne from fans of Clive Barker, Argentina, doing the video he did for me, all the cast of Nightbreed at Dayton. I was looking at that the other day. We were very silly. You and Simon were particularly silly.
I don't know why.
Well, it's because it's Simon. I just blame Simon when things like that start happening. It's on the channel, folks. If you haven't seen it, please it's only about 3 minutes longer, if that is us saying hi. You'll see what we mean. It's Simon's fault. It's all Simon's fault.
Blame Simon. Always blame Simon. You're never wrong.
Oh, this is interesting. Okay, this is the last question. Before I just share with folks what's happening next weekend and just remind them. This is from Mick Crone. Are you singing in the club scene in Nightbreed? I'm looking for a strong man. I'm looking for a caveman.
I want a brave man. I want a caveman.
I want a brave man. I want a caveman. I knew caveman was right.
I want a brave man. I want a caveman. It scans.
It scans.
I didn't write it.
No. It's a great number. I remember Clive playing it to me before we started filming. He said, "This is what I got you." Mm-hmm.
I got to tell you, listening to his liner notes, him narrating his his audio commentary to Nightbreed. What he says during that scene is really sweet.
I haven't done that. I don't know if it's.
You have to listen to the audio commentary. If you haven't, you should.
I really should. I didn't need I watched. Listen. I'm rubbish. I'm busy. I'm doing stuff.
Who are you? Jesus.
Craig's standing at the door laughing because
Craig, do something.
By Anne.
Asshole.
So yeah, no, absolutely. And this, as I expected it to be, has just been a wonderful, wonderful hour and a half. Thank you so much for joining me.
Oh, I had such a good time. Oh my God, I had such a great time. I hope I didn't. I talk so much. I just get diarrhea of the mouth. I apologize.
No, not in the slightest.
It's the coffee. I'm like totally caffeined out. I've had enough caffeine to sink the house. No, I mean, I'm like,
we spent a long time. We spent lots of time whilst we were making our Nightbreed, and yeah, this is one of the things I remember is that both of us can out-talk the other if necessary. Yeah, I'm not going to cast aspersions of that.
And we can really, really tango.
We can really, really tango. I've forgotten that.
Love changes everything, baby.
I'd forgotten, yes, that incident. Oh, God, I'm getting so old. I just want to say, as I say thank you to Anne, I just want to invite everyone who's still, which there's a few of us, still watching. Just next week, it's the Soska Cenobite Christmas. Myself, Barbie Wilde, Jen and Sylvia Soska, and we've got, Barbie and a gentleman called Paul Kane and Tim Dry and...
Oh, Paul, really?
Yeah, Paul Kane is going to be coming on, and he's going to tell us a short ghost story or a horror story. Tim Dry is going to be doing the same. We've invited some other people. I haven't had them confirmed yet, but they're friends of the Soskas who I'm hoping to come on as well. And so the idea is it's a bit like a Christmas show. We're going to get together. There'll be mulled wine if you make it at home, but yeah, please come and listen to some what I'm assuming are going to be some really interesting ghost stories told by these guys, or horror stories, because you always tell dark stories at Christmas, and then we might even sing some carols or something, but yeah, it should be a very good show. And my darling, love you again.
Darling. Oh, and do you know what? By the way, I think I'm actually seeing Claire next week.
Really? Is she in the States?
Yeah. She's doing A Delicate Balance on Broadway.
Oh, wow. Oh,
yeah,
give her my love.
I'll tell her that I talked to you. I absolutely will.
This is Claire Higgins. Oh, wonderful. Oh, that's brilliant. Yeah. Oh, that's superb. Yeah. Oh, you two are going to get on.
Small world, isn't it?
Yeah, no, absolutely. But yeah.
Oh, well, we met in Indianapolis. You were there.
Oh, yes, of course.
Yeah.
Oh yes. Oh, yes, I do remember, actually, come to think of it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You, because I don't remember a whole lot of it, and I don't know I don't remember a whole lot of it, but we had a great time.
We had a really wonderful time. We had a great time. Anyway, I'm going to let you go.
I'll tell her that I spoke to you.
Please do. Okay. Please give her my love, and hopefully I shall see you in the new year when we can get together again.
I love you. I love you guys. Thank you.
And everyone who's been watching us, thank you very much indeed. And join us next week for the Soska Cenobite Christmas. It's going to be dark and interesting. Take care, my loves. Bye.